The Cabinet Secretary in charge of education is addressing several issues from education to the election and security and probably police brutality. He's at the Kenya School of Government, and that's where we find Dan Mule, who will be speaking to us later. But first, let's listen in.
Led by your CEO, Madam Mercy Karogo, my colleagues from TSC, and all of you, our colleagues in the field, our sub-county directors of education and our deputy county commissioners. The exercise for which we are meeting here is very important. And let me first of all begin, as did the chairperson of the council, by very sincerely thanking all of you. In saying this, I want to be honest and say I bring very warm greetings and regards from His Excellency, our President, who asked me to communicate his personal gratitude to you for the manner in which all of you good people worked so hard last year to deliver a credible exam. I agree with Professor Magoa that there is no way, none of us is good enough to mount an important national exercise such as we are about to embark on and do it on their own. Our national examinations are a government-wide effort. That's why we always bring together government agencies that are critical to this. First of all, we have 3 ministries that are involved in this: the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government, working with the Ministry of Education, and our colleagues at the Ministry of ICT. And this interdepartmental collaboration in government is necessary because there are various activities that have to be undertaken to ensure that we have credible exams in the final analysis. So we are very grateful that this worked very well for us last year, and we have no doubt, despite the circumstances we are doing this this year, that we will also succeed. Last year I said at many places when we opened the containers and closed the containers the evening together with our colleague teachers, that we are going to conduct the exams with a measure of military precision, that everything must go as planned, and we must ensure that we do not let our children down. As adults, as parents, as professionals, the last thing you want to do is to let our children down. We will not, and we should not let our children down. We have 1.6 million of them sitting their exams. It's an important part of their life. It's an important stage in their education. It is our responsibility to ensure that we do not let them down, we do the right thing. I hope and pray we have a very solid collaboration with our colleagues at the Teacher Service Commission. We work well with the unions. We believe in consulting everyone and having everyone work together with us. Because really, this is about our country together, and we all have a role to play. We don't like leaving anyone out. Let's work together with everyone on board. And we've asked our education officials across the country, at all levels, at the regional level, at the county, at the sub-county level, to engage in constant consultations. Let's walk away from the mentality of trying to work on your own, in your own corner, that we work together. The silo attitude has not worked before. Every time we have attempted to work together, as we did last year, we have come out better, we have succeeded. And I'm going to encourage you that we need to work together at all levels, ensure that all the actors are involved in the discussions we are going to have. My colleagues from the Ministry of Education, you understand our change of policy, that we have to work very closely with our colleagues from the Ministry of Interior, especially the Deputy County Commissioners and the County Commissioners at the county level, all the way to the regional commissioners. So let's work together and ensure that we deliver on this. We are going to conduct and administer exams at a very interesting time. There is a lot of excitement in the air, and there's a bit of politics in the air. We're having a presidential election on the 26th of October. But I want to urge all of us to keep our eye on the ball. We have a very important exercise we are doing. Let's focus on this one. And all of you good people need to know, and I want to draw your attention to the circular that was done by the Teacher Service Commission. My sister and my colleague, Nancy Masharia's circular, requiring that the teachers who are going to be involved in the officiating the elections on the 26th need to do so in consultation with their TSC directors and the directors of the counties. This is so that we don't get important critical role players in the exam process stuck in the conduct of elections. It's very important. And then we want to ask you, this is a message I want to give you, please share with our colleague teachers in the field. Those who are interested in participating, and of course the IEBC draws the bulk of its officials from amongst ourselves, but those who will be participating in that, please do so in consultation with your TSC county directors and the TSC sub-county directors, so that we are all clear that we don't get, as I said, our critical role players, like the chief supervisors, chief invigilators, stuck up, in the electioneering at the expense of preparing, conducting rehearsals, and being ready for the national examinations. And because of the environment in which we find ourselves, I want to ask you kindly that we be vigilant as we go forward. Let's be keen. Stay away from as much confusion as we can to ensure that our minds are clear and we are focused on the lives of our children and as they start preparing for exams. We will have about 419 deputy county commissioners and sub-county directors of education and education officers deployed to manage the 419 examination containers across the country. We have placed containers in new sub-counties that were created recently. But I need to emphasize that because some of those sub-counties were created late after we have done the logistics of how we are going to distribute the exams, we will not use those containers during this exam. We will use them in next year's exam. So the sub-counties that were created recently, we will place, and actually we have placed containers in some of those sub-counties, but we will not use them this year because by the time they were created, we had already completed the mapping and the preparations for exams, and we do not want to cause confusion by opening up the packets and distributing the papers before they get to the containers they were designated. So the intention has been expressed. We have met the request of some of our teachers and principals who are interested in putting exams closer to them, but some of that administrative decisions came late, and we will have to live with the situation that we have until next year when we will now do a new mapping, as it were. So I want to urge you all that please, the 419 containers we have across the country, the responsibilities between the sub-county directors and the deputy county commissioners, please be diligent in managing the containers the way you were last year, as it were. Although Mr. Osia said that we didn't have any problem with the deputy county commissioners, I don't like contradicting my technical colleagues, but I do not want to have an experience like I did when we had to organize to fly a key to Kirinyaga last year, because the deputy county commissioner had misplaced the key. So we had to find a way of flying someone who's going to open that padlock and a key to that place. I do not want to be subjected to the horrors I was subjected to late in the night by a deputy county commissioner in Nakuru, who also had gone to enjoy and left the key with someone, junior, and that someone could not trace the key, and we had to scamper around looking for a way of ensuring that our people are in Nakuru in good time with a new key and to manage the opening of the container on that day. I remember, with a measure of regret, because sometimes we have to be sympathetic to people, that we had to dismiss the sub-county director of education in Isinya last year because of misbehavior and because they manhandled the responsibilities that they had. Sometimes the leadership brings those kinds of challenges and realities. I do not want to feel like I'm threatening my colleagues or talking down to you, my good people, but we have to reach this agreement. We must deliver on the assignment we have, and we will not play monkey business about it. We have to get the work done. I do not mind, again, repeating what we did last year. I agree with what Mr. Osia said. Our policy is very simple. This is one of those assignments we cannot play games about. I will be very happy, and I would not mind repeating it again. It is something that we would like to avoid, but if you get us to that point, you leave us with no choice. Like the case we had with the Sub-County Director of Education in Isinya last year. Because if you understand the enormity of the assignment you have, the lives of our children are dependent on this, you cannot be reckless enough to go and have your drink and enjoy yourselves, and you cannot trace the key to the all-important container around your life. So you have to, we have to live with this reality. We'll call you to account, and we'll do so without mercy. Because, as Professor said, we are as strong as our weakest link. And if you are going to expose all of us on account of your irresponsibility, we should be responsible enough to get you out before you expose all of us, as it were. But I know, I mean, looking at the magnitude of this exercise and looking at the level of success we registered last year, I have no doubt in my mind that we will do it again this year. I have no doubt in my mind. That was, you know, a good way of learning. But again, quite frankly, we are talking about 419 containers. There wasn't a single breach. We had only challenges in 3 containers where, again, it was not a breach. It was a case where officials had misplaced the keys. We replaced the keys. I think we can say we had a near 100% success in protecting the exam, and we thank God for it. So we will continue with the national monitoring of the exams as we did last year. All of us will be out. Our senior officers from all the education sector agencies will be out. Our colleagues from TSC, Kenya Education Management Institute, same as there, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, all the directors, all the senior staff, and myself, the PS, will all be involved in monitoring the exam this year, sorry. And as soon as we begin the exam, you will see and we will meet many of you in the field. This is because we believe that we cannot prescribe things to you that we should not be able to do ourselves. So we will wake up with you. We will wait long hours with you at the containers so that we experience and suffer those challenges together, so that we experience and ensure that the right thing is done for our children. And it gives us a fantastic opportunity to interact with our teachers and to be sure that we are truly serving our children. That is a job we have been given to do. We should do it with happiness, because we are not only serving our children, but we are serving our God through serving our fellow men. So, good people, we will wake up together. Don't think that we are prescribing things to you that we are not going to do. We will be together. I don't know whether the sub-county director of Emuhaya is here, Luanda. Oh yeah, very good. I woke up with you at 3. I was there at 3 a.m. in the morning. I was in Taita Taveta at 3 a.m. in the morning with the sub-county director. I was in all manner of places at the time that we were expected to be. Kisauni, 3 a.m. in the morning, Kambiamoto, and many places in this country that it gave me an opportunity to also understand and know the country. So we will do the same. That's how we are going to work this year. And by God's grace, we will go everywhere. You'll see Professor Magoa everywhere, Marsabit, Wajia. We will all be together and making sure that the plan we have put in place is effectively implemented. Lastly, I want to say this, that, you know, initially when the IBC had told us that the elections would be held on 17th of October, We didn't have a problem with that. But when the date was moved to the 26th, it's posed a challenge for one paper, Home Science 441/3, which is the practicals for our home science students, which was scheduled to be done on the 26th. So we moved it to the Monday 30th. And that's the only change we have made on the timetable. Otherwise, the timetable remains intact as it was. You good people, more than anyone else in this country, understands that it would be disastrous if we moved exams even by 1 week. We will hurt our children because when you look at the number of teachers we need to mark the exam, and if we were to move the exam by a week or two, we'll be confronted with a harrowing experience of having to lock exams in the shelf so that we mark the exams in April. And what that means is that results are not available until June, and our students in Form 4 will have lost a whole 1 year in their university programs. None of us wants to face that kind of nightmare. It's unfair to our children. We will not accept it. So we have agreed and resolved that we will stick with the timetable as it is. Whatever sacrifices must be made, we will make them to ensure that that timetable remains as it is so that we don't hurt our children's progression. Same thing with KCPE. We cannot change the timetable because if we do, it kicks hell because it affects everything, including Form 1 selection, reporting of our children in Form 1, and so on. And you know, many teachers are involved in this exercise. So if we alter the timetable, we have very short timelines and very strict timelines to work with. So we don't want to disrupt the lives of our children, and I don't want to deal with the nightmare of having to relook at term dates in January. Because if you disrupt those dates, it will take almost 3 or so years to correct that and get it back to where it is. So I want to assure you, and I want to assure the country, that we will make all the sacrifices necessary to ensure that the exam is administered, conducted at the time it was scheduled to be conducted. And all of you, my brothers and sisters, it is time for us to make that important contribution we must make to the lives of our children by ensuring we do that. Lastly, I wish us well, and I would like to assure us that you have all the support you need from the government to ensure that this exercise is a success. All of us, my colleague Joe Musheru, the Minister for ICT, and myself are in constant communication. All the departmental planning and mobilization has been done. We are ready. We have no excuse at all because we have even been given the money by the Exchequer that we need to conduct this exercise. So we do not have any excuse for failure. We are ready completely. We are sorted out, and because of the importance of this exercise, our leaders, led by the President himself, are keen to be sure that everything we need is provided to us, and we have it. So let's go forth and do the right thing for our country, work as effectively as we must, conduct these examinations with, as I said, a measure of military precision. Everything must go as planned. The papers will move to the containers on the dates and the hours they are meant to move. They will be received at the containers at the time we expect they will be received there. The recording, when the papers are distributed, must happen at the time we have agreed. NEC is going to issue the final circular on the times for picking the papers. The times must be followed, and the times for returning the papers must also be followed. We have worked the fine details, including when examiners are supposed to report where. Everything must go according to plan. We will not have anything disrupted. And we pray that by the grace of God, we are all kept by the Lord Almighty in good health so that we can do this important exercise for the 1.6 million of our children. May God bless you and thank you.